Good afternoon. I would like to call the August 11th board meeting to order and ask that you join in a moment of silence. Thank you. And now would you please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now we'll have Director Ewing read our mission statement.
The Waterloo schools will set the standard for urban education by ensuring that every student is given the comprehensive support and diverse experiences needed to graduate with a diploma and a plan.
Thank you, Director Ewing. Before we get started with our agenda, I want to note that we're removing item 4 from the consent agenda, Waterloo Schools Facilities Usage Manual. So item 4 of the consent agenda. The first item on our agenda is a public hearing for sale of excess property at auction. In accordance with section 297.22 of the Code of Iowa, a public hearing is required if the Board of Education of a school corporation proposes consideration of sale or disposal of surplus equipment with a value in excess of $5,000. A public hearing provides so that any and all interested persons may appear and file objections to said proposed sale or disposal of surplus equipment. School property such as equipment, furnishings, and/or supplies will be disposed of when it is determined to be of no further use to the school district. It shall be the objective of the school district in disposing of the equipment to achieve the best available price or most economical disposal. The property being considered for sale by auction is surplus furniture and equipment contained in the Castle Hill and Expo buildings. The notice of public hearing regarding consideration of the sale of surplus equipment was published in the Courier. I now declare this public hearing open. So if there's anyone that would like to address the board on the sale of excess property at auction, would you please come to the microphone, make sure the green light is on, and start by stating your name and address. Going once. Going twice. Okay. Can I get a motion to close the public hearing for excess property at auction?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and this requires a roll call vote. Director Knight?
Aye.
Director Schmidt? Aye. Director Ewing? Aye. Director Matlock?
Aye.
Director Cox?
Aye.
Chair Director Williams votes aye. Hearing closed. The next item on our agenda is information from individuals and delegations. This is an opportunity where those who wish to address the school board may do so. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Mrs. Arndorfer will hold up a yellow sign when you have 30 seconds remaining and a red card when your time has expired. At this time, I will ask you to conclude your public remarks. Please also keep your comments respectful and constructive. We're all here with the goal of trying to help our students. Please also avoid criticizing the job performance of specific employees of the school district. Personnel matters are confidential and must be handled through proper channels and not in a public forum. Finally, we provide this as an opportunity for public comments, but it is generally not a back and forth discussion, especially with items not on our agenda. At times, we'll try to help with information before or after the meeting, but we have to proceed with our board meeting agenda items. With that being said, I would like to invite anyone who wishes to address the board to please come forward and start by stating your name and home address, and make sure the green light is on, please.
Forrest Dillevue, 1725 Huntington Road, Waterloo, Iowa. Been a resident here for years. Owned that home on Huntington for approximately 60 years. I am very disappointed at what is going on with the school project at the corner of Huntington and Katowski. There's a low field there that you folks bought, some of which is in the floodplain. I first noticed the crops were taken out of that property, so it's obviously not going to produce anything as far as your ag course this year. Then I called the school and I asked what is going on, and they said they're going to store black dirt there temporarily, which was not a real big concern to me. But the black dirt turned out to be red clay. Red clay does not absorb anything. So this totally takes away the ability for that ground to take that rainwater and take it down. Rather than do that, it will go to the west towards my home. I went to the city and I said, do you have a plan? Do you know what's going on there? They said, no. I went Monday. Friday I called the school, and Friday I also called the city. And what I was told in the engineering department, they have to file something before they fill. I said, well, they hauled Friday, they hauled Saturday, and they hauled Sunday, and they hauled red clay. And it's going to totally change the floodplain in that area. They blocked off the Huntington road ditch. The road ditch in that area is the storm sewer waterway. So the waterway for storm sewer is blocked. You have stopped the ability for the water to go in. So this is going to put it on Huntington Road, back in behind on Garden Avenue and Wren Road. The houses that already have a water problem are now going to have a bigger water problem because of what you're doing. It's just not fair to the city. And to call this an agricultural field and put red clay in it, I don't know of any crops that grow well on red clay. So I feel like I have been misled by the school. The city did stop the fill Monday afternoon because Monday evening I was approached by someone from the engineering department and told that the work had stopped. Well, Tuesday or Wednesday it started again, and they've been hauling red clay. They didn't haul any today, but they're hauling it, and right now the level of that red clay is higher than Katowski Drive. Thank you kindly and have a lovely day.
Thank you, Mr. Dillevue.
Hi, my name is Kristen Stanford, and I live at 1708 Partridge Lane in Waterloo. I am here today to ask you to revisit Policy 102, Equal Educational Opportunity, which was changed at the April 28th board meeting to remove gender identity as a protected class within our schools. I assume this was removed upon the advice of district's legal counsel after the state of Iowa became the first in the nation to remove gender identity protections from our state's civil rights legal code. Presumably, the same legal team that advised the district to withdraw from the great African American read-in at UNI this past spring, which our students had participated in for well over a decade. In this case, the district cited potential legal action as the reason to not provide this enriching educational opportunity and to celebrate Black authors. The Iowa State Bar Association published a recent article in the July 2025 edition of the Iowa Lawyer magazine, outlining key legal issues introduced by Senate File 418. I quote it now. Businesses, school districts, and employers should be advised to keep gender identity as a protected class and not modify their handbooks and policies, which may be governed by city ordinances and federal law, including Title VII of the Federal Civil Rights Act, regulatory guidance, and the U.S. Supreme Court's 2020 decision, Bostock versus Clayton County. It seems there is a difference of opinion of whether gender identity truly must be removed from our policies. Ames, Ankeny, Indianola, Iowa City, Johnston, Linn-Mar, and West Des Moines. These are some of the schools in Iowa that have voted to keep gender identity as a protected class within their policies, conveying to their students who are transgendered or non-binary that they belong. Isn't that Waterloo's wish for all of our students? For them to truly belong in our schools? All we need to do is look at the history of the United States. Shamefully, groups targeted in this country have been denied civil rights protections and have relied upon people standing up to unjust laws, rather than following along with quiet conformity. Our school boards are elected to make decisions on the behalf of the entire community, which includes transgendered and non-binary individuals, regardless if you agree with their humanity or not. I understand the complexity of navigating a time where our state is stripping away civil rights from various groups of people and having to decide between protecting students and a perceived possible lawsuit. I stand before you today, asking you to have the courage and to please restore gender identity to the district's non-discrimination policies. Thank you.
Ms. Stanford, thank you for your comments. Is it possible that you had some information, you referenced some?
Absolutely. I can send it to the
Can you
the school
please?
board. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lizzie Zondo, and my address is 264 Southcrest Drive, Waterloo. I'm addressing you in dual roles today. First, as a teacher who's worked to create a safe learning environment where all students feel a sense of belonging. And my current role is as a history teacher at West High and also the GSA advisor at East High. And I'm also a parent of 2 children in our district. I'm asking you to restore protections for trans and non-binary students in our staff and district policies. If we claim to be a place that celebrates diversity and prepares students for citizenship and contributing to our community, then why are we unwilling to take a stand against injustice? Here are some statistics that show that the fact that many students are currently being mistreated in our schools. According to Iowa Safe Schools, 82% of transgender youth report feeling unsafe at school, while 74% of LGBTQ plus students were verbally bullied in the past year because of their sexual orientation. According to the 2021 National High School Climate Survey, 56% of LGBTQ plus students reported having 6 or more supportive educators, which is a good thing. 40% of them reported having a GSA in their high school, like we have at East and West High as well. Findings from this survey indicate that schools with more explicit support for students also have less instances of bullying and higher academic achievement overall. So why is all this data relevant? Laws matter. They provide protection against wrongdoing. They also provide us with a sense of order and justice in our society. Our students are humans first. They're living beings who deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, all of them. As educators, we know, according to Maslow's hierarchy of need, that people can't fully function in an environment where they don't feel safe. Why would we rescind rights to a group of people who have been so historically disenfranchised? Why would we preemptively follow our state legislators in taking away the rights of our students who, when we purport to care so much? So let's align our policies with the way that we advertise ourselves. And I know the sayings change, but being bold means standing tall, refusing to obey unjust laws, choosing policies that reflect our values. Being bold means following our conscience, doing what both our hearts and our brains know is right. Being bold means finding legal representation that aligns with our values and not just embracing diversity when it's popular. Being bold means leading. It means using our voices and our votes to stand up for what's right. It's okay to change our minds. We voted back in April to remove those protections. We can reinstate them. Iowa City has done just that. We can admit the mistake we made and reverse course. I urge you to do the right thing. Restore protections for our trans and non-binary students and staff. And let's live out our values, not just in our word, but in our actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sando.
Hi, I'm Patty Jenkins, a 1945 West Street, 6th Street in Waterloo, and I had the honor of having Astor Williams' son Emmanuel in pre-K, who was a bright star and lots of fun. Thank you, Astor, and I'm so proud to see you up here helping our community. And all of you, thank you for the job you do. I deeply appreciate it as a former educator, mother of these 2 daughters who I'm very proud of, and also a grandmother now of 5 students in Waterloo schools, and a member of a church who just went through becoming an open and affirming church and listening with our hearts and minds to a young transgender student go through West High and be treated like a not person. It was awful. He struggled, and in middle school tried to end his life. He went through West High not being able to use a restroom because he was transgender. He was in band. He was a ELP student. He took advanced classes. I am proud of Waterloo Schools. I'm proud that my children were here. I was happy to teach here and work with a wonderful community of people who I always felt stood up for the right thing. And I applaud you for what you have done in the past, and I hope that you can lead with your hearts as well as your minds tonight. And I know it's not easy. And as a pre-K and kindergarten, 1st grade teacher, when bullying was around, we read lots and lots of stories about stand up, say something if you see something. I feel like now we as a state and we as a nation, we are being bullied. And it's hurting people, it's hurting our children, it's hurting our whole communities, it's hurting all of us. We have to take a stand, and I trust you all, and I know it's not simple, and I thank you for everything.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. It's good to see you as well. Thank you.
My name's Amelia Smith. I'm actually here on behalf of the YWCA, which is at 425 Lafayette Street here in Waterloo. I just wanted to introduce myself and reintroduce myself. I was an educator in Waterloo schools for almost 14 years. So I now have the pleasure of continuing to support our community in my new role as the executive director of the YWCA. We have an amazing partnership and collaboration with the district, and I look forward to continuing that as the years go on, most significantly through our Wise Kids program. For anybody who doesn't know, that's our before and after school care that's provided in our buildings. The YWCA has 8 schools that we serve: Cunningham, Highland, Irving, Kingsley, Kittrell, Lincoln, Lou Henry, and Lowell. Our child care team, just to talk about how well equipped they are and knowledgeable they are, we have our director who's been started as an on-site supervisor, has been with us for over 5 years, 2 assistants who have a bachelor's in elementary education. We are fully staffed and ready for the school year to begin. In fact, we even have a sub list, so we're excited to get started. We do have some other programs as well, in case any of you aren't aware of what we provide. We have health and wellness, so we have taekwondo and swimming lessons, a gym and a body shop. We have just hired a new health and wellness director that's gearing up for some more classes to provide for the children as well. We do have some youth and family services, including Wise Girls, which we collaborate with our middle schools as well. That's with our middle school girls specifically. And then we also have multicultural services that includes English classes and translation services. So I did bring some flyers with me if anybody is curious to see what we provide at the YWCA, but I just mainly wanted to introduce myself and thank you for our continued partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda consists of 4 items. Item 1, approval of minutes of the July 14th, 2025 regular board meeting, July 24th, 2025 special board meeting, and July 31st, 2025 special board meeting. Item 2, personnel appointments and adjustments. Item 3, bills due and payable and bills paid between board meetings. And item 5, sale of excess property at auction. Are there any items that board members want to see removed this evening?
Items 2 and items 5, please.
Item 2 and item 5. Are there any others? Seeing none, can I get a motion to put items 1 and item 3 on the table?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving items 1 and 3, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. This brings us to item 2. You got it ready, Lyle?
No.
Oh, I got you. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the personnel items as listed.
So moved.
And questions and comments?
This is August, so this is the question that comes up every August. How are we positioned going into the school year? We have staff. I think we're short a few staff. What's the plans, and do we have a pretty good idea? I think the answer is no. Of how many students are going to be in each school in order to staff, and how do you plan to adjust and when? Typically, I lobby for at least making the changes within the first 2 weeks of school so that there isn't disruption afterwards if a school has to adjust for adding a teacher or losing a teacher, particularly the elementaries.
Yep, I see what you're saying. Okay, I'm going to try and answer all those, Lyle. If I miss one, bring it back to me, okay? So right now we are looking at, we have 2 elementary teachers that are trying to hire right now based on some administrative changes that happened in July. So we're filling those right now. The positions that we have struggled to fill, we have 2 choir positions, both Carver and Central. We have 2 ELA positions at Hoover and Carver, a general music position at Becker, art at Irving. We have a science position at East and West, 2 math positions at West, and then a total of 14 strategists. That's the positions that are currently open right now. For the math, science, strategist, and honestly music, those are all shortage areas across the entire state. I did a little bit of looking earlier today, and if you go on Teach Iowa, which is kind of that's where every school district posts their jobs, there were over 25 positions for each one of those specific areas, 25 math, 25 science, and I just stopped counting when I got to 25, because I figured that kind of gave us a pretty good representation that there is a shortage, and that's something we've heard kind of in the education world for the last couple of years, and it's really showing now. We have tried to recruit people in all those areas, career fairs, our relationships with universities, our building principals reach out, I reach out, and we try and bring in as many of those people as we can. Unfortunately, those areas have proven much more difficult. For some of those positions, we have already lined up long-term subs of people that are interested in being in here while we are trying to find a more permanent solution. So we're working on all of that. Does that answer your question or kind of give you the overview for teaching staff? I can move on to some of the classified.
Yeah, I guess I'm just to follow up on science and math in particular.
Mhm.
Are we going to not teach science and math, or what is the plan?
So we have some plans. honestly, at West High for math, we were able to hire a halftime teacher back, so that did help fill some of those spaces. We have a couple teachers that are going to honestly load up our classes a little bit more. We're going to have a little bit bigger class sizes there, and a couple others that are going to, I think, I have to go back to my notes, but they had a staffing plan for how they were going to handle that in-house. I don't remember off the top of my head, Lyle, but I have some messages with Dr. Meehy and Steve Winters on how we were going to do that. At East High, they have a long-term sub for that science position that they're going to fill.
So in the past, we've talked occasionally about extra incentives for math and science teachers. Is that in the cards at all?
We hadn't done that this year. If that's something the board wants to explore, we certainly can. As I was looking through it, there were a couple smaller districts that had anywhere from a $3,000 to $5,000 like signing bonus for those positions. I did bring that up with the WEA when we talked at our last meeting about some of their thoughts on that, and we do offer some stipends for behavior focus and district programmings and special education, whether it's behavior focus or extended core of $6,000 for those teachers. That's a year-long stipend. We know some of those classrooms look a little bit different than a gen ed classroom. I think part of the discussion, if we decide to go that way with math and science, is how do you maybe explain that or look at that when you say, hey, this math teacher got a $6,000 signing bonus, and you have let's just say a language arts teacher across the hall that didn't get something like that when they started, when they both have a very similar responsibilities. The special education, I think you can make a case that they are much different responsibilities when you're looking at that role. But that's something we can talk through if we want to go that direction.
Well, our goals are a pretty significant improvement in math and science. And to achieve those, I guess, depending on what the rest of the board thinks, I'd be interested in whatever proposal you can come up with that fills those positions with the quality of teachers and the quantity of teachers in order to support our academic goals, the improvement in science and math, because we can't just wish it to be happen.
Agreed. Okay. I can do some work on that and bring it back to you then.
Okay with
Or bring back a plan for you for us to all read through or look through. Yep.
What is the, I assume one of the challenges getting out of state applicants just was the licensures challenge of bringing out of state. And what does it entail if you're out of, if you're not you didn't graduate from an Iowa school, Regent school to get licensure?
So we have a couple of people that are coming from out of state this year. I know we had one from Minnesota, one from Arizona, I believe. What that looks like is they normally have a license from that state that was issued. They have to get their credits transcribed to Iowa equivalency and then say, does that meet the Iowa standard for education? That's all done by the Board of Educational Examiners. So what we would say is if they apply for a job, that's the person we want to hire. We offer them a conditional job offer, and that's requisite on them getting that or being issued that Iowa license. So that's the work the candidate has to do on the back end to get the appropriate endorsement and license.
We know in the past that's sometimes been difficult. Just with the Iowa licensure, has that changed much? Are they looking at a semester worth of classes? Are they looking at just another certification? Do you know what that looks like for a certified teacher coming out of state that has been teaching?
I think it really depends on what their out-of-state program included. I don't think there is a set requirement for an out-of-state teacher. It's did you hit all of the requirements that Iowa needs for this endorsement? For some, yeah, you're right. For some people, it's A class. For some, it's 4 or 5.
Yeah. Okay.
the other comment in terms of the budget, there's a couple comments on paid for through the special ed deficit. To share my view on that. Special ed deficit, we can apply for authorization, which we always do and should do. That does not give us any money.
Correct.
So to say, just in context, the total levy has to include that. So whatever that authorization is, at least in my mind, it's not over and above anything. It's part of the levy. So any extra authorization that we get, again, is not money. So any amount overage in the special ed deficit has to come from the other programs. There's no net new money. So, you know, unless you want to say, well, I'm going to raise taxes over and above the normal, which I will not support.
And that's fair. So to kind of answer that, as we talked about new special ed positions, we were talking really about paraeducators, and that's something that's discussed with Megan in the special ed department. We know we have, honestly, our percentage of students with IEPs and the needs they have. We do have quite a few students that have changing needs as they grow, or the students that come in that have different needs. That doesn't mean we can provide less support than students we have already supported. So that's a balancing act, right? And trying to figure out where that happy medium is. So while we did have some new positions that we would say that we're supporting kids in a different way, we also have those 23 open positions right now as well for paraeducators. So we could work through that a little bit. Lyle, I'm going to jump back. You had mentioned when we talked about elementary staffing specifically and how that's determined and what it looks like. So Julia Eckerman, Amy Avis, Jen Hartman, and I all have and honestly, all the elementary principals have a shared document that gets updated with enrollment. Right now, that's on almost an every other day basis that they update it, and we look at class sizes and we go through that. That was a topic of conversation at our admin PD with all the elementary principals last week. Right now, all of our class sizes are looking pretty good. We're not looking at having to move a teacher. Ultimately, that's never our goal, to have to upset somebody's schedule or life 2 days before school starts. I would agree, we don't want to do it after school, but ultimately it comes down to the student's needs. Right now, I don't foresee that as being something we need to do, and I hope it stays that way.
One last question. What do we know about kindergarten? That's always a more difficult one to estimate. Last year, we had a really big kindergarten class.
So
Do we have enough information to predict this year's?
I have all of the kindergarten roster sizes sit in front of me. I couldn't tell you what the total number of kindergartners was at the moment. I can tell you that our biggest kindergarten class size at any building is 24. So that is a little bigger, but we do have some that are sitting at 19, 20, 21. So the goal is between 19 and 21 really. So we're doing okay with that. We don't have one that has exploded on us at this point. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think our average kindergarten is like 780, and last year it was 840, I think. It was significantly more, which helped our total student population, but I'm just wondering if that's gonna fall off again.
Let me see if I can do a quick calculation here.
I don't need the answer right
Okay.
now, but the kindergarten registration is supposed to be complete.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to be.
Right. Supposed to be.
It won't be.
It'll keep
Right.
changing. And just being totally as honest as we can, last year we had 2 teachers we had to move in the last 4 days before school started, because we had a huge influx in enrollment in one building. Right now, we don't see that as a possibility anywhere. Not something we want to explore if we don't have to.
Okay. Any more questions for Sam?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Lyle, for those questions. So I'll be abstaining for personal reasons on this item, but I'll put it on the table. All those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair is abstained. So motion carries. Thank you, Pam. The next item on our consent agenda, item 5, sale of excess property at auction. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education accept the proposal from Iowa State Auctions to conduct an auction to dispose of surplus furniture and equipment contained in the Castle Hill and Expo buildings.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, wow. Let's see you walk up there.
Oh,
Hey, Zach. Right.
I appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, good. I didn't even have to call on you. So we got a couple of questions
Yeah, just interested in what we know about the timing, the whole process. How can local people bid if they wish? How can they observe what's there? And what's our, as we walk through, there's a lot of items that don't have a property sticker on them. And I don't know if we have a policy or not, but it seems like maybe above a certain value or something, we ought to have property stickers on everything, and then periodically review those and have auctions maybe every other year or something like that for things we don't have. So really it's a project management, but then also what specifically people can do if they're interested in this particular auction.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So Castle Hill has now been offline since 2014. So it has been our temporary storage facility, I'd say, for a lot of items. That was kind of the era that we went through. A lot of new construction buildings, the elementaries especially, Blackhawk, going offline, being Fred Becker. So there was some excess furniture that we ended up storing at Castle Hill in case we would need them further along in other buildings. Lowell is another example. Before that building was demolished, there was items removed from there as well. So we had reached out to, and then also with just the selling of Castle Hill, obviously we needed to look at different options to store excess furniture, but then kind of reduce a little bit and get rid of some items that we needed to do. So we reached out to 2 auction companies. One was Iowa State Auctions, and then the other one was Chad Shepard. Iowa State Auctions was the lowest. They had a 20% commissioning, and then Chad Shepard was 35% commissioning. So they've been going through some items, and we've been waiting for the sale or the auction, tonight's approval to happen. So, but he's got set 3 different auction times. The first set would be band instruments that we are set, if the board approves tonight, obviously, to have that start the end of this week. And then that would go through into August 24th. And then there's going to be a second auction that will consist of kitchen, shop, and floor cleaning equipment from August 17th to September 2nd. And then the third auction would be miscellaneous furniture from August 24th to September 13th. And that's can all be done on their website, which is iowastateauctions.com or highbid.com. And John, he's the owner of Iowa State Auctions. He also uses social media to get the word out. He uses Facebook and then the Waterloo Courier. And then he uses Cedar Valley Savers as well, while also just communicating with his connections that he has. He's done this for 45 years, so he's got a good history of working with others. Kind of changed a little bit. They used to do all in-person auctions, and then COVID hit to where they flipped and did it remotely. They found out good success with that because it outreaches nationwide. So they still continue to do that. So this will be a online auction, and then there will be shipping available for some of the smaller items like band equipment or band instruments, I should say. But like the older kitchen equipment, that all has to be picked up on site. We won't offer shipping for that. And then there's a 15% buyer fee for whoever that approved bidder is on that specific item.
So he gets 20% plus 15%. How does that work?
Good question. So let's say we've got $150,000 in sales of all our items. He gets 20% of that, but then the auctioneer or the bidder, whoever wins that item, has to pay 15%. So the 20% commission is included in what we get total back, if that makes sense.
So anybody bidding $100 knows they have to pay 115.
Correct. Yeah, that 15%. It's notated on the before they place their bid.
Okay.
Do we have a plan for items not sold?
Yep. So we've got East High Auto Shop that we have tried to store what we can. Obviously, we're limited with the size of that building. The wood shop side is used for robotics and Ignite. So we also in the auto shop use that area for a lot of our equipment storing as well. So we're trying to balance what to keep and what we use, but also in the basement of East High, there's the old wrestling room where we have stored a lot of the furniture.
So if we don't, the items that don't sell, will we continue to keep those, or will we end up scrapping those, or what's our?
Just depends on what they are. If they're, tables and chairs, I'll admit they're not a hot commodity to auction. So those ones we'll try to continue to save if we can. But as far as the kitchen equipment, there's a lot of metal there to where we can scrap them out, because there are some kitchen equipment that have been stored there that need parts, or even the floor equipment. A lot of it was discontinued parts that we could no longer get. So we were kind of using them as robbing parts to fix some other equipment that we had.
Janelle, maybe you can weigh in on this. I don't know if you've been out there, but there's dozens of drums and
Actually, Naomi's been out there,
Okay.
and she's looked at it all, and there's really nothing of value. Kids don't need drums at home to practice. Do you want drums at your house?
I actually have drums at my house.
Yeah, they probably do. They can practice with
My
drumsticks.
advice is no.
Yeah,
So,
I'm sending all the drums to your house.
but in the case that a student, a less fortunate student, that has a dream or goal of possibly playing an instrument that they just don't know how to go about getting it. Maybe they're not in band yet. Is this, and you probably don't know this, but you can ask Naomi, is it usable? Is it
Yeah,
usable?
so here's the thing. She really does know what she's looking for. And when an instrument, some of these instruments like woodwinds, when the pads go bad, it costs $350 to replace those. So if the kid can't afford, an instrument, this is not going to help. And playing an instrument with pads that don't seal the holes and you can't get the notes out, that's not going to be good. The drums, kids can practice with drumsticks and a drum pad. They don't need drums at home. Brass instruments, she knows what she's doing. She's been a band director, and if these instruments are in just such bad shape, it's not going to give the kids a good experience on the instrument, then that's what we're talking about here.
And that's what she said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lyle, I'm going to follow up on that. I'm sorry, Aster. I'll follow. I was looking at Lyle. I'm sorry. Previous experience, I've been out there looking at those instruments too and tried to use them. They would make maybe a good lamp. They are not good to make. Yep.
Clarinet lamps.
They are really cool.
Yeah.
And just to add to that, some of these items, I'm not sure why they made it to Castle Hill. They probably should have been discarded. So we've ended up with an excess amount of stuff that really should have been to the landfill that we couldn't use. So into Janelle's point, Naomi was out there. She did grab what she could use or other teachers could use in the buildings. And then special education's department, they went out there for pre-K items. They did take a lot of that. And then I'd reached out to Amy Meehee. She reached out to her instructors and the Ignite program. And we did send some things out to the Ignite program to Andrew Martin as well. So we tried to send out, to the buildings that needed those items for sure.
And
Thank you.
I can speak high level to the process or the system. You asked about policy around fixed assets or inventory, and we do have policy. And right now, our capitalization threshold for any individual item is $5,000. If it's a nutrition-related equipment, it's $500. That's dictated by federal regulations. So we do track those in our fixed asset systems, and we record them and depreciate them accordingly, depending on what they are. Whether we physically go out and tag those items out, I'm too new. I don't know if we actually do that. I do know Matt O'Brien in IT. He does track the computers and tags them individually. Those don't necessarily get on our fixed asset register, but he does track those in a lot of detail. But we do look at that every year, the additions and deletions of those major assets.
So is there anything that you think, as you staff or buy furniture for the new high school, there's what, 50 or 100 cafeteria tables out there?
Not quite that many.
There's
There's
a
a
lot.
decent amount. So the thing with those cafeteria tables is they've got torsion bars on them that allow them to fold down and lift up easy. Without those torsion bars, you're lifting up a 200-pound table without the assistance. We've tried to just buy the torsion bars to replace. They've been unsuccessful. Some of them we couldn't even get because they've been discontinued. So a lot of the new tables have converted to a shock type. So, I mean, every day those tables get lifted up by custodians so they can clean the table. So,
Okay.
and to answer your question, I don't know where a lot of those came from, but probably goes to, a lot of those weren't best of use without those torsion bars there. So, and then as well as the color scheme with the new high school, we want the furniture to match and flow with the other furniture that's there.
I think
it's
we just
possible.
reduce the value of the auction.
Yeah, maybe we should be quiet.
Is that, like those tables, are enough metal on them to get any scrap value on them?
The tables,
Yeah.
there's a lot of as far as the structure, there's a lot of metal, but the seats are plastic, and then the top is the MDF, just the particle board underneath that laminate. So that's where a lot of that weight comes from.
So most of these bids are going to be from professional brokers, right?
Yeah, so that was one question I did ask the auctioneers, who's going to bid on this stuff. So he had mentioned for a lot of the kitchen stuff and flooring equipment, that's going to be probably a business that's going to bid on that. The band stuff, it could be a band drummer, somebody that just does it on the side, as well as doing it nationwide also expands the people that are going to bid on that band equipment.
Thank you.
Some of the people that'll bid on that band equipment are repair shops that need parts, all those, bits of clarinet and bits of flute and stuff like that. So, or schools that are teaching that practice of fixing instruments and they need things to practice on.
Well, sounds like that you had the right individuals to come out and check the quality or the need for the district before it went to auction, and hopefully they got all the stuff that we need and looked through it well, just for those needs. But it sounded like you guys did your due diligence before, so appreciate that, Zach.
You bet.
Are there any more questions, comments? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. That brings us, that ends our consent agenda items. The next item on our agenda is the 2025-2026 service agreement with Central Rivers AEA. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the 2025-2026 service agreement between Central Rivers AEA and Waterloo Community School District at a cost of $346,030.
So moved.
Second. And we have Megan and Dana Harshkamp, Director of School Improvement, Megan Allen, Director of Special Education, to answer any questions and give us a brief. Yes. Give us a brief overview of this, and then I'm sure questions will be coming.
Yeah, sure. And I think JT, you're going to give an overview also of just some of the like high level funding. But we have accessed AEA services for years. The model, though, that we have accessed those services has changed due to legislation in the past couple of years. And so if you think back 2 years ago, legislation went through that the funding and the way that we access those services was altered. So in the past, we have had the flow through dollars that was based on our enrollment go basically directly through us to the AEA to be able to provide services. So educational services, media services, and special education services. In the past, we've been able to then access services through the AEA really at any time that we needed. So if we needed educational consulting services, we were able to request those, organize those, get those into our system. At really any point that we wanted. Same thing with media services, things like digital subscriptions, physical collection, van delivery, those types of services as well. We're all a part of that package. When the legislation went through, those services and the delivery of those changed. The way that money flowed through changed. So last year was a transition year where basically it was a 60-40 model. So 60% of the dollars that traditionally would have flowed through to the AEA stayed in the district, and 40% still flowed through to the AEA. And then we created a service plan with the AEA for how we would utilize and access that 40%. And we created that plan based on building needs and district system needs. And so that was a very specific plan to be able to support based on our consultant services through the educational service lens, and also then the media services that the AEA offered stayed kind of as is, even though it was only 40% of the actual flow through dollars. And so JT, you were going to kind of share like big picture and high level what the dollars actually meant, and then I'll kind of answer any questions as well.
Yeah, so going into this year, now we're going to get 100% of the ed services and media services fund. So between the two, it's about just under $1.5 million is what the district is going to receive. And as Dana mentioned before, last year it was 60%, 40% split. So now again, we're getting 100%. So this contract for the media and ed services that is in front of you, those are the costs that will come out of this roughly $1.5 million allocation. So we're going to net about $1.2 million in savings, if you will. And if we go back to where we were with the budget reduction that you approved earlier this spring, we had $1 million savings in there. So we're going to hit that target and probably a little bit more when it comes to the bottom line. So that's where we'll be.
So the 40% requirement's gone now?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, we're getting 100%. And the other change, which we're not really talking about tonight, is in regards to special education. We're actually getting all of that funding, but 90% of that has to go back to the AEA. And we get to keep 10% of the special ed funding. So that's another legislative change that happened this year. That amount is roughly $3.5 million will go back to the AEA, and we'll get to keep just under $400,000 of those special ed dollars. Again, that's not really what we're talking about on the table tonight. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that legislative change and how the money's flowing now.
So how many categories are there? The special ed,
Yep. So there's the special ed, then we have the ed services, and then the media services. And the media service chunk is about $700,000. The ed services is $785,000.
So the media that's in the list of 71, is that part of the?
Yes. So in the
understand.
past, all of those media services would have been part of that flow through that JT was describing. Included were digital subscriptions that basically the AEA could create better pricing for obviously more people who might opt into those subscriptions. In addition to that, there were some physical collection materials and van delivery that was included in that. we went through our technology department, did an audit of usage across all of the subscriptions, and really figured out that the bundle that's listed there is what we utilize as a system. And so instead of the whatever, how much did you say it was for all of the media services?
Yeah.
We would be only participating in that bundle, which would give us access to the digital subscriptions that we're already using. We also priced out whether if we went directly to those companies, what pricing would be, and it was a much higher price. So this was a discounted rate to get access to all the digital subscriptions that we use the highest amount in our classrooms.
So what are these digital descriptions? Are they curriculum?
So all kinds of different platforms. If you take a look, there's like a little screenshot listed there. There are like Britannica, so there's like library resources for research, paper writing. There's different options that our teachers actually utilize in their classroom, from like things like PebbleGo, Learn 360, their classroom subscriptions and uses as well. So a combination of things that they might use for research projects, but also digital subscriptions that they would use, Scholastic, things like that, that have leveled readers and things like that kids access as well on a daily basis.
And is there a limit on the number of users?
No,
those?
we actually pay per student, and so it covers
Okay.
across the whole system.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any more questions? Ooh. All right.
Of course.
Right. Yeah. So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. That brings us, don't leave.
We'll stay right here.
All right. That brings us to the next item on our agenda, the general education contract with Central Rivers AEA. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the general education contract between Central Rivers AEA and the Waterloo Community School District at a cost of $26,258 for the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved.
All right. You're up again.
Okay. So this one specifically is for our preschool consultant that has been assigned to us for the past several years. So as Dana mentioned, historically, before 2 years ago, we could access her support in unlimited ways. She helped with professional development. She helped with walkthrough. She helped with our IDEA, DA identification. So it was like unlimited access to her. We had really good structures and systems in place. And then the AEA model changed. So this is our way to continue to access all of those things that she's provided, specifically in the area of professional development for our preschool teachers. She's provided a ton of capacity building in myself learning preschool and other people within the our department. So we're advocating to keep that consultant doing all of the same work that she's doing. We decided to go this route because it was a savings versus the like daily rate, which you saw earlier in that this is just a different way to get access to her without using that daily rate.
So how is the 38? Is the 38 days flexible, or how do we know?
Yes, it is flexible. We are pretty much using our PD schedule to drive those 38 days. So
Okay.
in preparation for all of those things coming up.
And it still remain unlimited even if we go this route?
So when you say unlimited, I wish that was the case.
Right.
That was the previous model. Legislation changed that. But we would be contracting the number of days that are listed in the contract with the flexibility of doing that whenever across the year that we need it.
Yeah. So, and we found that number based on all the things that she's been providing to, previously. So that's where that number came from. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Any more questions?
Sounds like you've done your homework. Thank you.
So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried.
you.
Thank you, ladies. All right. That brings us to item 10. the employee dress code. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the proposed employee dress code for placement in the Waterloo Community School District Employee Handbook.
So moved.
Second.
They can fight over that. You're normally pretty slow. Okay. The district proposes to revise the current employee dress code to permit all staff members to wear jeans every day. This change is being explored to better align the district's policies with the evolving expectations of a modern workplace and the preferences of our younger employees. The proposal has been met with overwhelmingly positive feedback from staff and has undergone a thorough review by multiple stakeholders groups. And I believe Dr. Smith will run through this for us, and we'll get that, be able to answer any questions that we may have for him.
I shared this via email, but also there's a handout there, so there should be enough copies for the table up for the board table here. So I just kind of laid out like the 6 steps we took to get here, because anytime you change anything district-wide at this magnitude, it's important that you generate buy-in and make sure enough people are bought into the idea.
Sorry.
So intense, right? So as you know, I think it was, gosh, how many years? 2.5 years ago when we changed the student dress code. And, there was some trepidation at first. There was a lot of stuff we went through, but overall the feedback has been, and again, that's more qualitative than quantitative, but you can look at our test scores and some other things, culture, climate, and it's been a pretty good adjustment in terms of, and just anecdotally, when I talk to students, it is overwhelming. Like, I don't think there's been maybe there's a couple, but I don't think I've spoken to them. But every student I've talked to basically has said they're so thankful for the changes. They wouldn't want to go backwards, and they are appreciative of that feedback. So I might have missed 1 or 2, but all that I've spoke with are like, oh my gosh, you're the guy who did this. And yeah. So, yeah, there's some people, your son, right? There's some others. Your son's hey, that's fine.
I don't know if he counts anyway.
It gives you choice, right? It gives you choice if you want to wear the jeans or if you want to wear the khakis.
Dress code plus,
right? So at that point, then we also remember a little secondary thing that we did back a few years ago was we loosened up the employee dress code. And there was some celebrations here at the ESC. Pam was one of them when we said, hey, we'll allow for jeans on Fridays, as well as other days that are assigned if there's like a, well, it's actually the last day of the week with students, or if there's a special fundraiser, which there's a lot of fundraisers in our building. I got to be careful with that a little bit, but to pay, if somebody's going through a health issue or whatever it might be. Another thing that we did was we allowed for open-toed shoes, which was another big win for our staff. And again, we did a follow-up survey later that year, and the survey came back very positive. People did not want to go backwards. They appreciated it. So fast forward to this past year, and there's been a lot of conversations with WEA primarily, and then WSP a little bit, but mostly WEA, about what's another step we can take with staff to really improve that culture climate that doesn't cost money, right? There's some ideas that we have that cost money, but in terms of not costing money, like we brainstormed, like what can we do? And we've done some really nice things with, we've built in some work days. So this year, one thing we did last year, we're doing again this year was, remember we have like 8 professional development days. And we started looking at, oh my gosh, look at how many classes teachers are being asked to cover. And to kind of compensate for that, we built in work days. So instead of 8 full PD days, now we've split that. There's 4 PD days and 4 work days. And so those 4 work days was a huge win for us in terms of climate and culture. So we've done that for 2 years. Well, the conversation this spring was, what's another thing? Is there anything else we can do? Teaching is becoming more and more demanding. Public education is just more and more in the crosshairs. It's difficult, right? So one thing that we've heard from other districts and other states especially is that there's a growing trend post-COVID of being more and more relaxed on the dress code. And I've had a lot of conversations within UEN groups about what this looks like. And there's not a ton that have gone this direction, but there's enough where it's becoming a trend. And so when we talked to WA back in March, we said, well, let's get some survey. Let's get some feedback, right? So I wasn't sure where the administrators were at. So we asked them first because we were not going to go any further. If the administrators were going to be against it, we weren't going to go any further. Well, 38 of 49 administrators who responded, 78% said they were in favor of allowing jeans. The idea we had was jeans as a end of the week thing. Let's make it every day of the week thing with options though. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it's an option for you. So in June, 38 of 49 administrators, 78% said that they agreed that we should be able to do it. The next step was in July, we surveyed our teachers or our employees. So we didn't know how much response we get, but we got 692 responses. And of the responses, 87.7% of employees believe that Waterloo Schools employees should be allowed to wear jeans at all times. And then 83.8% believe that allowing staff to wear jeans at all times will help improve culture and climate. So then we took that information and we reached out to like 20 UENs and we said, hey, what districts out there are allowing staff to wear jeans at all times? And we heard back that Burlington, Dallas Center, Grimes, Iowa City, Limar, Storm Lake, and Waukee have all gone that direction since COVID. So we had that information. We had a committee meeting in here a few weeks ago, and we met to take all this information and we shared all of the survey data with them. So it was 692 responses. And we formulated a draft of a revamped employee dress code that group thought would work well district-wide. So we took that feedback and then we took it to administrators and said, administrators, what do you think? What do you not agree with here? What do you agree with? They gave us a few pieces of feedback that we made some changes to the footing, to the what they could wear for shoes or sandals, and then also some wording around like Waterloo Schools apparel versus K through 12, that sort of thing. And one thing I heard from the board was we want to really make sure it's got to be tighter than other districts. So we looked at 6 other districts. Some of theirs were pretty loose. It was kind of like it was like, hey, dress for your day, dress professional, right? And what I got from the board in a couple conversations was we need more specifics than that. So we took what you guys said and we took what the administrator said. We tightened it up. We brought it to the policy review committee the other night. Jonathan, thanks. You had some great feedback in there. I know Stacy was gone, but Jonathan was in there. Some other people were there. And so they tightened it up even more to what you have tonight. I did send out a last minute email and text I said, hey, if there's anybody who is here or has some input. So we have a couple staff members that came. I don't know who back there is prepared, but I asked them to kind of share a few thoughts from staff's perspective. So Jamie's here, Zach's here, and then Ms. Heiser's here. All right, we got a few people who we said, hey, come and bring some perspective from staff just so we have an idea of what the thoughts are out there before the board is asked to take action on this.
Yeah. I would ask that you state your name and your position. Thank you.
Zach O'Brien, Principal, Bunger Middle School.
Abby Nolan, Extended Core Teacher at Bunger Middle School.
Kelly Heiser, 2nd grade at Orange.
Jamie Oberhoy, 2nd grade at Orange.
Stephanie Giacchino, 5th grade at Pointer.
So yeah, Zach O'Brien from Bunger. I was at the July 30th committee meeting, so I could answer any questions. There was about 4 other administrators there. I think there was a pretty big group of people, about 30 people there. I also brought one of my staff members with me who teaches extended core. Just a couple things I would touch on quick before you have any questions is, Lyle, earlier you were talking about the idea of maybe putting some benefits in place, like when we're short science and math teachers. I will tell you, like, Jared earlier mentioned the open-toed shoes. That's like been a big hit with staff. You would think those things are not, you know, maybe major recruiting tools, but they are. A lot of times when I interview teachers, they're not just interviewing at Bunger Middle School, they're interviewing at Bunger Middle School and maybe surrounding districts or other places. And so anytime I have tools to kind of go and recruit them, that helps immensely to oftentimes get those staff members on board with us. I even think about, like, for me as an administrator, the work from home hours in the summer, like that's huge for me as an administrator. So, you know, allowing staff to wear jeans, that could be a really big thing. The other thing is I'll be a little vulnerable. I used to work at West High for about 10 years. Pre-COVID, I was shirt and tie Monday through Thursdays. And then on Fridays, I was kind of casual. Now I've kind of transitioned into a middle school role. If you were to come out to Bunger Middle School, quite often you would just see me in a polo. A lot of times I will have on some Nike tennis shoes, usually purple Nike Dunk Lows. I will tell you, the amount of relationships I've been able to build with kids through that has been so impactful. So many kids will be like, you wear those shoes? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm just like you. I wear these shoes too. And so oftentimes it can be a gateway to make a connection with kids just right out of the gate, just something as simple as that. So if there's any questions, I can answer those. Otherwise, I will let Abby kind of talk from her perspective.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm an extended core teacher at Bunger. And in my experience, part of my job involves supporting students with complex and significant disabilities. And that might look like walking, that might look like running, that might look like skipping or hopping or dancing. And so there's a lot of movement going on in my room at all times, as he's seen a lot. And this also means supporting in all content areas. This also means supporting health needs. This also means sometimes supporting toileting. And so it's really truly doing whatever students need and to meet all of those needs. And so I believe that having functional comfort, like having the option of jeans, will make it a little bit easier for me to do all of those things that I just listed, perform more demanding tasks, retain staff, and then, like he was talking about, building approachability and comfort and relationships with our students. Thank you.
Kelly Heiser. I just really appreciate you guys taking the time to get teacher feedback, because the voice and choice in my position just makes me feel really valued. And thinking about what teachers want and what they need, and even just something as simple as what you wear, can make teachers love their job and really feel appreciated in Waterloo schools.
I will admit that when I got the survey, I'd be one of the people that said, no, I don't think we should wear jeans. So, but I also did come to the meeting and realize things have changed. I'm going into my 36th year of teaching. So it's important to hear the perspective of other people. And I thought, really, it's good, and people are encouraged by it. Like my coworkers were really excited. They knew I was coming to the meeting. They wanted to know. So I think it's awesome that we can offer that. And again, different perspectives over time. So.
And for me, teachers make over 1,500 decisions a day. And so just the ability to have one less decision in the morning that I have to make, I don't have to think about if it's Friday. Instead, if I'm feeling like I want to wear some jeans that morning, I can wear jeans that morning. I personally am not going to choose to wear jeans every single day, because I do like to wear things other than jeans. And I've heard that from conversation and talking to many teachers. It just frees us up from one more decision that we have to make. We get the choice as professionals to decide what it is that we want to wear. And that's a big deal.
One other thing I forgot to touch on, if you look like closely at the administrative survey, I think 38 of 49 people were in favor of it. What we found in the committee meeting when we were meeting is that most of the administrators that weren't in favor of it, their comments were centered around like interview committees, conferences, and kind of those special events. So I think in the policy before you, I think we specifically added some language in there that when we do have student teacher conferences, or if I was leading, a teacher interview with a committee, that kind of that fancier dress, whether it's blouses or shirts and ties or whatever, would still be recommended. So I think adding that language would help as well.
Please don't make me start. Okay, open us up.
So, yep, just to piggyback a little bit, we did have a good discussion about this in policy review. And some of the concerns centered around staff wearing jeans every single day. And then what do we start to see when, you allow jeans, and then what's the next thing going to be, and the next thing? And really talked a lot about, and I was kind of on the same wavelength as Steph was. At first I'm like, no, we don't need to wear, but having that option. And I think overwhelmingly what I hear from people is, I'm not doing this every day, but just the option to be able to do it. If I get up in the morning and I feel like, oh man, I'm going to have a rough day today, having that option, I think, has just been a big thing. But also just realizing that the expectation is you're still professional. You can be looking professional in a pair of jeans and a nice top to go with it. So I think that policy review, it was pretty positive, but there, quite honestly, were some concerns.
I will say I definitely was in the same boat as you, Pam. When we first started, I was like, of course it comes from the HR guy. Like, no, we're not wearing jeans to work. But the more discussion that happened, the more I felt people do look professional in jeans. And I knew that going in, but it's also, I came down to the people are still going to dress appropriately to connect with students. And your appearance is not based completely on jeans. You can look really nice if you wear jeans and a button-up shirt. It depends on how you dress. And I think, again, the majority of our teachers, when you talk about anything that's in the handbook or anything that's in policy, 98% of people are going to follow it without question. And the teachers are still here for our kids. So I definitely came around a whole lot on it.
I was just going to comment on that too, that I think a lot of times we look at what could happen, and there will be people that would probably take advantage of it, and it would be in any situation. But I think it was good for me to hear too from administrators that said, this is the language that we can support, because they are the ones ultimately responsible for enforcing it. And so I think just trusting that those individuals that will not follow it in some regard will be addressed, I think is just really what we look for, and to assume the best from the majority of people, because having that option sometimes is nice. I like to wear dresses and skirts and all those things, but I'm not everybody else. So what people feel is professional, and also depending on what we're doing that day can make a difference.
So I have it's a question. So is Friday the only day that, quote unquote, you can wear jeans?
So currently, right now, Friday is the only day. But I will tell you, and I think Dr. Smith talked about it, like we do fundraisers throughout the month as well. So it wouldn't be uncommon. Like I'm just saying, in September, it's suicide prevention month. Like we may pick a day in September and say, hey, we're going to allow teachers to wear jeans. You got to bring $1 in or make a free will donation, and then we donate that money. So yes, to answer your question, it is only Fridays, but it does happen other days.
It'd be interesting to see how many days of that it adds up to. One of the questions I mentioned in the policy is, it's not so much being against the jeans, but I'm looking at 5 years from now. I'm looking at new teachers coming in, and we already have a behavioral problem. We're trying to connect to students. But the main thing that I think that is being missed is, it's not exactly what you wear. It's about how you're presenting yourself. You know, it's not the jeans that's going to make the connection with the students. You know, you get a little bling bling with your Nikes. But for the most part, it's up to our teachers to make sure that door is open for our students. So, like I said, I'm truly not against it, but, we're about ready to get into some real challenging days. And the one thing I guess I would expect our administrators that are over the schools, we got to make sure that that spirit of connection is out there. I mean, don't get me wrong, these jeans, the other thing about the jeans is next thing you know, some of those jeans get old. Okay. I think most people are going to have guys going to have a polo and some jeans, and ladies have a nice blouse and some jeans and everything else. And you're going to have that small percentage that all of a sudden there's a little hole. You're going to have that small percentage that, is cutting on the bottom. So one of the other things I'm concerned about is the consistency throughout all the buildings. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm at the middle schools. I do see, and sometimes I shake my head. So allowing jeans now is going to do what? And that's a question.
So I can speak on that. So I think when we were at that committee meeting, I believe we put in some parameters around jeans. So if you read it, like you're talking about like old jeans, like they cannot be like torn or tattered jeans or have like holes in the legs. I believe that was discussed. I understand your question about like, is it going to be the same at every building? I'll be honest. We have a lot of employees that wear different pants of leggings. The way styles are now, like I can go out. I just saw some new like joggers with belt loops that they sell at Dick's that I could probably get by wearing to school. Maybe I couldn't, right? So it's so hard to monitor that stuff. Honestly, as an administrator, with everything that I have to do in a day, like just the capacity of having staff have that option, it almost makes it probably easier for me, to be honest, to make sure that it's consistent at all buildings. Because I think, like I said, I don't think staff's going to wear it every day, but I do think that will replace some of the other stuff that we see at times. And that's just my opinion. I don't know if all the administrators would agree, but that's just my opinion from, 15 years of experience. When I've had to have conversations with people to go home and change or something, a lot of times like it's, well, I can wear this or I can't, there's so many pants and different ways to wear them that I just think, as long as they're not torn or tattered jeans, that makes it pretty simple, along with like your khaki pants or whatever.
Let me start by saying, hopefully my Aunt Cora is not watching this board. So I'm being very careful. Hopefully she's, yeah. So I work at a college campus, and I know the young professionals come in all the time. When we take them on job shadowing or they go to their internships, they are looking for environments that they feel comfortable in. And one of them is the dress. I mean, that's just kind of the environment, the lighting, they don't want to sit in cubicles all day. I mean, they are looking for something different than what if I had an office, I would just be excited to have an office. But they are looking for certain things, and they will deny positions based off climate and what it looks like and how they feel in those spaces. So working, and if I can't come into work every day, being in student life with some slacks and a blazer, and now they know when it's board meeting, when it's all those different things, I do have to dress a certain way. But if I go in every day and I have on slacks and a blouse button up here, they're not going to take me seriously. They're not, because they're going to feel like, okay, this is Crystal, the the professional one that I'm not sure that I can tell her that I got drunk on Thursday night, at Joe's. So it's one of those things where I get times have changed, and I probably own 3 pair of jeans. And so I don't wear a lot of jeans, but I do know that sometimes I got to dress down, and I do think it builds relationship with some people. And I get the other, the holes and all that kind of stuff. But I would hope that as dress codes and things get just a little, they change up, that we would also be respectful in those manners, that we would not do that. But times have changed and we have to change with them. So I'm in support of the jeans whenever people want to wear them. Don't tell my Aunt Cora.
And I was just going to speak to the relationships too. When we wear jeans on Fridays, when you walk into any classroom, there are still relationships being built. There's still high level learning going on. We're just doing it in jeans with a little hop in our step because it's Friday. And so I think that can happen every day. And I think we're professionals who can judge what you need to wear on certain occasions.
I think just a prime example of that teacher monitoring situation in elementary schools, on the Thursday before we go back to school, we have meet the teacher night. If you go into the buildings at 10:30, you will see the teachers dressed down, getting our classrooms completely ready. But about 4 o'clock, you'll also see us all go into the bathrooms and change into dresses and skirts and professional wear, because we know we're about to encounter our families for the first time and meet them, because that does matter to us too. And that first piece we're putting forward, because we do have that professional piece about us.
Mine might be a little longer than yours, so go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to say, probably been a decade of casual for the causes started coming around, probably not so much in the public sector as it did probably the private sector. But, that was the thing. But, post-COVID, my career, almost 30 years here, it was professional dress for most all of it. In the last 5, it has really trimmed down. It's you dress you dress nice days you need to, dress respectable the other days. But there's a lot of, a lot more leeway in that. And I think it's the same thing. If you want to attract the people, you got to have some level of how people make them feel comfortable. Ironically, I probably have more pairs of dress pants than I have blue jeans in my career. So, just the same with jeans, any other pair of pants, whatever, can wear and get hosed and tattered, whatever. And I think I have harder in my dress pants than I ever did. So, I think it's a good change. I think, being able to attract, here we talk about being able to attract openings, we're struggling, and maybe this gives us advantage over, District A or B to go get somebody in. And, to Zach's comment too, whatever we can do to get people in to teach the kids, I think that's probably goal 1 here. So, appreciate the work, trying to get, feedback from people and getting them a nice cross section and some flexibility, and, making sure the policy's, good and tight so we can, administer it, not just be so vague that you can't say, this is the line, this is where we're at. And I do appreciate the, that, when we do theme shirts, we really try to promote Waterloo in our district. So I think that's important too. So
I'm a little different. But I'm my approach, or when I've mulled over this for the last couple of weeks, I've had conversations, is what I normally do when I know something is coming up on the agenda or it's a big hot topic. I talk to different individuals, so I've been talking to my colleagues and different people around the community of what this could possibly mean and look like. But I also have my thoughts and my theories and my feelings on this. Anybody knows me knows that dress is super important to me. It's the first thing that you see when you're put in position to meet someone. It's the first thing they, right or wrong, you're judged off of how you look. So at about 10 o'clock this morning, I wrote a nice little email just because my vision was a little bit different than some of the people that I had talked to about this. And I had concern. just what this will look like and what it would mean for our buildings, especially at the secondary levels. As Coach Cox, Director Cox mentioned, being in the school, seeing the environment, I'm real big on respect. And I don't want this to become where students feel that they're on the level of somebody that should be teaching them, molding them, mentoring them, just based off of the same look. And I know and I also mentioned, put this in the atmosphere as well. We're going into new times and a new focus on the cell phone usage. So I gave a scenario of what that would look like if a student is having trouble managing their phone in the high school, and a teacher or support staff walks over to them and seemingly may look like what they have on, because students wear nice blouses and jeans as well. And just them knowing the line between I'm an adult, I'm a staff, these are the expectations, and them not catching a vision of this is my peer, this is, somebody that I'm on their level. I will say that, you coming and speaking, so I don't want anybody to ever think that it's not important or it's not helpful to be addressed and talked to, because my decision wasn't made before I got here. And in my email, I said, with great concern and hesitation, for some of the reasons that I just mentioned. I'm a shirt tucked most times. I'm a shirt tucked in, slacks, button up shirt, polo, but I'll put my Jordans on and look nice in that manner. But I can also dress down and dress casual. And I go back to Mr. O'Brien's point with the new type of dress and the new professional wear, where the I think you might have said joggers, but golf joggers. So now I'm a jogger guy. So my slacks now have the cinches at the bottom, and I can wear those in a professional setting. So I understand being comfortable. And as I was talking to a coworker earlier today, she made the comment of, it's going to be up to the adults to be adults. And as I always do, give people the benefit of the doubt and trust that you're put in a position that you know the expectations. Go back to, as my senior board member always said, when the dress code first came into play, it wasn't just because of the students. The staff had a lot to do with the dress code or the uniform code that came with the students. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure I wasn't misspoken. So it's going to be up to the adults to be adults, to make sure you have those, to continue to build those relationships with students, continue to be professional. I going back to the conversation from earlier, we talked about the Career Center and what that looks like, and the information that we've received from students and how they feel about the Waterloo Career Center and the atmosphere. And I'm sure those teachers I'm sure that they wear jeans more often than probably the regular school building. But just the relationship that their students have with them is another feather in the hat, I would say, for the support of this, and just how those students interact with their teachers, and what they get out of education, being closely molded with the faculty and staff over there. So I said all that to say, with great hesitation and some concern, but also giving the adults the benefit benefit of the doubt in the buildings, that they know their expectations, and know what's expected of them when they go into these school buildings. That I could support this lax in dress code, knowing that it would probably be impossible for me to wear jeans every day. I just know that's not who I am, and so just as a principal, Mr. O'Brien, and your colleagues, just make sure that your employees know what the expectations are, and we'll see how it goes after to see what this vote is, but then we'll see what this looks like.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head, just, talking about adults still representing them the way adults need to represent themselves. And going to your point about, sometimes the dress, students not being able to see us as peers, and you talked about the cell phone. And this is just my opinion, but I oftentimes or at times have a student on a cell phone, and I need to ask that student for that cell phone. And this is just kind of my subjective thoughts. A lot of times the kid's not going to give me the phone based off what I'm wearing. The kid's probably going to give me the phone or not give me the phone by how much I've invested into that kid in the relationship that I've built with them. If I have a great relationship with that kid and I've done what I've needed to do as a professional, they're probably going to say, you know what, Mr. O'Brien, you're right, here's the phone, and they usually walk away. If it's a student that I maybe haven't interacted with a lot and on my end haven't built the relationship, that's where it gets a little more challenging. But I do agree, this would be a big role of administrators to make sure that if this was allowed, that our staff is, still representing themselves as adults and putting kind of the professional trust in them. And then if there is an issue, making sure we address it.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry. Can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
And I usually wouldn't speak after you, so my apologies.
Oh, you're
for
fine.
that.
You're
No.
fine.
I want to build the relationship. We have a college president right now that the students call her the student president because she will come to she came to our graduation. She had on her orange Nikes, to graduation. And that was the picture on our magazine at the school. She will go and play volleyball with our students in a skirt versus some of our previous presidents that would come in a business suit. The students didn't feel like they could relate to those presidents or have conversations with the presidents because of their dress, because it was comfortable, and she has a relationship with them. It's all about relationship. And you're exactly right, Zach. When you say that if you go up to a student asking for their cell phone and you have a relationship with that student, they will hand it right over. So I get it. And I come from the old school. My dad wears a suit to church every Sunday. Everybody else sitting up there in t-shirts. And, my dad will wear a suit because that's how he was raised. That's where he came from, that it was a pride in wearing your suits every Sunday to church. But he also recognizes that my 21-year-old son is not wearing a suit to church, probably not even on Easter, but it's about relationship, and times have changed and we have to change along with them. And it's when you have that relationship with that student, you can reach them so much more academically, in every aspect of their life. And it's not about your clothes, it's about the relationship. But if you can relate to them on that level, why not? It's not going to change anything.
Yeah, and I would say, so I'm a father. I have 2 young girls. Crazy enough, my daughter is going to start pre-K out at Pointer this year. And as a parent, I guess from my perspective is, yes, I want my daughter's teacher to look respectable, but at the end of the day, as a parent, I don't care if the teacher's wearing jeans, khakis, a blouse, a t-shirt that's Waterloo Schools. What I hope that teacher's doing is providing a strong relationship with my child, helping my child grow, having the great learning outcomes, and having my child meet those learning outcomes. Those things are much more valuable to me as a parent than what her teachers are going to be wearing.
Go ahead.
I've seen this come full circle. It's really not a hot button issue with me at the moment. But I was one of those. For the first 25 years of my career, I wore a tie and sport coat every day to church as well. And now I'm wearing jeans. But I think what I'm hearing is it's really the execution as opposed to the policy itself. I will say at the beginning, the image of Waterloo schools was awful, partly because of the dress of staff, advocacy, church, political T-shirts, all kinds of stuff that were very divisive. And so I think we really need to stay away from that. I understand the functional comfort. I would challenge a little bit your easier to implement. I've used this analogy before, but the fuzzier the strike zone is, the more difficult it is to call balls and strikes. And I think the most important thing is to recognize who has the authority to call balls and strikes. And it's probably not going to be uniform across the district. I don't know if there's an escalation process. If you say, hey, you need to change. I don't want to change. I'm going to appeal this, that sort of thing. But it's really the staff that sets the standard, and they need to be very, very cognizant of what professional really means. So beyond that, like I say, I'm wearing jeans.
And I definitely appreciate Policy Review Committee and the members of the Dress Code Committee, Dr. Smith, for bringing it. And this conversation, as you can hear, should just change to relationships. Doesn't have to be about, what you have on. So it's about the relationship. Okay. So I'll leave it there. Any more questions, comments? No? So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
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 Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried.
Thank you all for coming too.
That brings us to the. Yeah. Well, it doesn't start till 2025. Well, I guess you guys are in it already. Yeah, you're right. That brings us to the next item on our agenda. Item 11, the proposed change in virtual health services. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the virtual care services agreement with First Stop Health as outlined effective September 1, 2025 through August 31st, 2028.
So moved.
Second.
And a few details. The Waterloo School District is considering a change in its virtual health services. The current contract with Teladoc and EAP services will end August 31st, 2025. The recommendation is to transition to First Stop Health, signing a 3-year contract with services beginning on September 1, 2025. And our own Sam Kresick, Director of Human Resources, is here to give us a little bit more information.
So we have offered a telehealth service for the past 7 or 8 years. Where that really came from is when we first signed our insurance agreement with Health Partners Unity Point, we were required to have telehealth as part of that agreement. That is something that we have staff using. I would like to see our usage rates go up a little bit from where they're at, or a lot of it from where they're at right now. But EAP is probably the biggest one that is utilized, and that's our employee assistance program with mental health. Right now, for the last fiscal year, it cost us $195,000 to offer both Teladoc and EAP. What we're proposing moving to is First Stop Health, which offers both the online physical health services and mental health services, and that would be a cost of around $150,000 a year. First Stop Health is a nationwide company. They have 95,000 educational services clients. They have high reviews from all of those people. They have a response time of less than 6 minutes. 7 members of a family can be in. It is 0 cost per use for every family member. The other side of that is not only would we save money, we're going to get the first 3 months free if we choose to do this today. And they will offer a reimbursement if we don't have at least 25% of our staff using this. I will say I had to use Teladoc this weekend, which is still a good product, but to get my appointment, it cost me $60. First Stop Health would cost $0 every time. So we are, again, as you all know, we are working through some health insurance updates right now. This rollout will be part of that as we get our health insurance set for next year. I can also say working with PDCM, who helps us navigate all these insurance pieces, that having a telehealth piece played an impact on the rates that we are getting bid going forward. If we did not have a telemedicine piece, our rates would likely go up higher than what like any proposed yearly increase that we would get. This is a huge benefit for us.
Any way to quantify that?
Not necessary. Like maybe we could have a conversation outside of that, but yes, I think I have an idea of what that looks like. The cost of $150,000 for this telemedicine service is far lower than a possible increase would be if we did not have it. That was a very broad overview. I know I had sent an email last week just kind of outlining it a little bit. Are there any other questions related to this?
So does our clinic have a call-in service or not?
It doesn't have a call-in service, but you can schedule an appointment to go in with them and see them.
Yeah, but nothing equivalent to like the.
It's not a virtual medicine piece. Like I couldn't call. They use My Chart, which is on your phone. A lot of providers use that. So if you needed to send a message to Trish, she's the provider there, Trish Thompson, who's fabulous. She could respond back to you, but it's not the same as having like an appointment with somebody if you needed it. If you needed a medication refilled, you could maybe say, hey, I need this. Can you get it? She'd do it within 24 hours. It's not the same as actually seeing a provider for a first time.
So we've got 870 contacts for 1,600 and some people. So if all those people called in only once, fewer than half are participating in it. Fewer than half the staff.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any message there or not?
I think we need to get I remember when we first put Teladoc in place, I was still, I believe, a teacher at that point, and there was a huge push to try and get people engaged and using it, and I don't know that it ever went through, and we've definitely kind of let that fall off recently. Again, we've continued it because it was part of our required agreement.
Yeah.
I see this being a positive for us. The mental health piece, absolutely, but again, letting people know that this is optional. I do have some other data here. When we talk about I got to get the right one. Our telehealth utilization report. When you talk about what people are using it for currently, there were 276 contacts. We had 216 prescriptions that were given out, a total of 322 prescriptions. A lot of people are using it for some of those simple things that they, instead of going to emergency care and waiting in line with the other people, if I can get a video call, that's how they're going to use it. I think if we push that out a little bit more people are going to use it, especially when they know that it doesn't cost them anything. There's a copay if you go to urgent care every time. This would not be a copay model. I see it being a positive. I see myself using it a lot more, and with my kids, not having to take them there and wait and do all that. But I didn't fully understand all the pieces that played into it, to be honest, previously. So I think getting that message out, and First Stop Health will help promote all of that. They have their kind of scripted guide of how they're going to walk through every piece. If we go this direction, they get a census of all employees with email addresses. They do co-branded things with First Stop Health and Waterloo Schools on it. This is how you access. This is what you do. As we navigate the health insurance, we're going to wrap that all together with First Stop Health and get it out to all employees and do some education on it to get them engaged with it.
So does this benefit a standard part of our interview process? When we're trying to hire,
explaining it to them?
Yeah, when we're hiring, do we share this benefit?
I would say I always did when I was interviewing people. I do now when I'm recruiting people. I talk about our health benefits, all of those pieces. Honestly, the mental health is a big piece offering for people. as I worked with First Stop Health, they will do. Normally, it takes about 2 to 5 sessions that people will do with the mental health piece is what we normally offer with EAP2, and then they will send them to another professional if they're not able to meet their need at that point. So they get the same type of services here, and that if you're familiar with the mental health arena in Iowa at all right now, you know it's very difficult to get in with a provider. You could be waiting a month or two if you're lucky to find that service. So having a 6-minute wait time to get any type of response feels pretty good.
I can say that, you know, not this particular, but the model of you know, doing something online. I definitely have used it a few times. And I just think it's more of a messaging thing that if this goes across, it's a messaging thing that needs to go, because, you know, people are just so in tune of, I feel this way, I go to the doctor. You know, now you're talking about, I feel this way, now I get online. That can be a little bit, that can be a little too much for someone. It was for me at the beginning, but after using it a couple of times, I'm just here supporting it. And I think it's a good thing that, you mentioned about that copay. I think it's what you're going to say to that person with the copay. You're going to say that online, but at least you have a face and you'll be able to have that communication. I do think that's important. It's just not you talking to a voice. So I just want to say I'm just in support of it.
All right. Seeing nothing else, all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. Thanks, Sam, on this as well. The next item on our agenda is item 12, purchase of buses for assistance with transportation services. It is the superintendent's recommendation that the Board of Education approve the purchase of 6 school buses from American Bus Company at a total cost of $754,410 to assist with transportation services.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and we have, Zach probably, yep. Oh, there you go. But I mean, we have some bus experts up here though as well. So as Zach is coming forward, the district is considering the purchase of six school buses to reduce transportation costs and provide greater flexibility for district-related travel. The proposal, which follows several board work sessions on transportation services, aims to significantly decrease the district's reliance on expensive charter buses. Right on time.
All right.
You're up.
So yeah, as we go through our budget restraints with the district, looking for ways to reduce cost, and one of those specifically is charter costs, that we are having to have a third party provide transportation for our athletic games especially. We typically use Hawkeye charters. Laura Lee and that department always has been very good about connecting with that company, trying to get the best rate for the following year that we usually work with them. So, but it also, last year we spent roughly $500,000 in charter costs. So one way we thought of it is we had a work session as well discussing this, but purchasing 6 buses, not vans, 6 buses that would be able to accommodate reducing our charters. Our goal obviously is to eliminate charters at all costs that we can, but this will be something that we'll have to work through and kind of see how that plays out. A lot of them, just going from last year's events, 6 was kind of our max each day, 6 and under that we would use charters. But I just want to express that, there might be times too where we still have to utilize charters, but our goal is to not do that. We also will try to help with that cost if we can't do with our 6 buses to have first student do some of those trips as well. Their costs are $500 a day, or $500 a trip, and charter costs are about $2,200. So there's a big difference in costs. So there were some options for new buses, and there were some options for used buses. We decided to go with the used buses, which we selected 3 of the 77 passenger buses and then 3 of the 84 passenger buses. So I also want to note that the 84 passenger is 3 per seat, which is more of a elementary seating arrangement. So the 77 really equals out to 2 per student, which is about 51 students for a 77 for middle school and high school, and then the 84 passengers, 56 capacity. These 6 buses will also have understorage, which is a key accommodation to some of these athletic trips. We are going to put air conditioning in them, but not right now because of the lead time. It's about 4 to 8 weeks from purchasing the air conditioning to getting it installed. So we'll try to fit that in next year when we have some downtime to get that done. But the 377 passenger buses, if the board approves, would be set to arrive end of September of this year. And then the 84 passenger buses would be set to arrive in December of this year. That's really all in all. I'm sure I missed some things. We're still working out what that looks like as far as benefits and hiring. Any employee that we work over 30 hours, we have to offer benefits for. So the pay would be $22 an hour for this position. But like I said, we're still working internally what that looks like from the HR lens as well.
You're up, Lyle.
Lyle here.
Yeah. I just want to share a couple numbers. You know, at the work session, we said 6 buses is a sweet spot, and it really is. Annually, if we had these buses at the start of the year, we would net savings after your cost of operating them about $400,000. So that's pretty good on an investment of 700. And what is it, 750 or something like that?
Yep,
754. This year, though, the savings will probably be just short of 300,000. Getting them early is going to be probably 80,000 more savings than if we waited for new buses. So that's one of the factors that went into choosing the new buses. Now, these are athletic buses. These are for trips, competition trips, which generally start at maybe as early as 2:30-ish to take students to their competition. This includes high schools and the middle schools. So they're only going to be used after 2:30, and I don't know how many hours that is, 4 or 5 hours of driver time. But there's a golden opportunity here. I'm really lobbying for a more robust administration and scheduling of these. There's an opportunity to also do trips. Now, trips are to Hartman, to YMCA, to Gallagher, to West for the band, for the middle school bands, to West High, to the Center for the Art. These are trips start after Tier 1 and Tier 2 in the morning, and they end by 2:30. Almost all of them, 95% end by 2:30. So these same buses would be available for trips. And just as an example, I picked out this last April, we paid first student $12,600 for 82 trips. So it's not big money, but it's $154 a trip. If we had 6 buses, we could accommodate 64 of those 82 trips. There were 17 out of the 20 school days in which there were trips. Biggest one was 21 buses. We can accommodate only 6 of those, but that was only one day. That was to Gallagher. All middle school kids went to Gallagher for some performance. But the next highest was 7. All the rest of them, 17 days, 6 buses would accommodate 80% of the total. So that in theory is a $10,000 gross savings. Your cost is going to be about half of that. So there's $5,000 a month laying there if we use these same buses for trips. So it's another $50,000 a year. So now you're up to $450,000, you know, but it's just a suggestion, but it takes some scheduling. You know, these would be the first ones. If I have a trip, schedule bus 1, bus 2, bus 3, bus 4, and it might actually help you because I think you're going to end up, like I say, 17 out of the 20 days had trips in April. You're going to end up with basically full-time drivers. That simplifies things a little bit, or flex drivers that have 7 or 8 hours, if you incorporate that. And then, of course, there's activities. So there's athletics after school, competition. There's the trips, midday to all this. And then there's the opportunity to use them as activity buses. Activity buses are the ones that take kids home after practice. Football practice at Carver, take the kids home afterward. So again, these 6 buses can be utilized every day for more than the athletics. Basically used full-time every day, and that all adds to the savings. So that's the trick of the whole thing, is be able to schedule these on a priority basis so that they cover athletics first, then they probably cover trips second, and then activities. Now, activities conflict with athletics, so if we're not using 6 buses there, then we can use the other ones for activities. So it gets kind of complicated, complex, but to maximize the savings, which is going to approach, you know, a little more than a 1-year payback, but our payback can be $550,000 on a $750,000 expenditure. So there's real opportunity there, and that's above and beyond, hopefully, the $1 million in transportation that's going to be saved by getting the regular routes down to 50, if we do that. So anyway, that's kind of the opportunity that exists, but it's going to take some good scheduling and management.
Well, and there's probably some educational benefit with this flexibility on these trips, because if today we got to wait for tier 1, they got to wait until tier 2 is done before they can get on the trip. How much really gets done in that first hour, or vice versa? That, you know, the tier 2 got to be back in time for tier 1 bus routes. That, you know, what gets done in that last hour, but be able to maybe pull those activities a little earlier, a little late, you know, push them later in days, so that, you know, you maximize the time for in school, and you don't have to like okay, we got to wait an hour. How much we really get done, or vice versa. So there's definitely some educational benefits there on being able to schedule trips more on our timeline versus when we have our transportation available to us. So
that's correct. Of all the trips in April, there was only one that started earlier than the tier 2 completion. So that's probably, they can't start.
Right, because they can't.
Because they don't have a bus, but they could start if we had the buses. So,
yep.
So
kind of maximize their days or one setting or the other. So
yep.
I'm definitely in favor of what Lau has mentioned. I think of looking at, I guess I'm just looking at us going a step further. being on the board, I would like to know what those savings are after this year. I want to know. Lyle does a great job on calculating everything, but I think it's time now for, this is your area. You need to tell us how much of a savings it was. I'll be expecting to hear the number Lyle's talking about. And like I said, I support what Jesse and Lyle said. You got a challenge ahead of you.
Absolutely.
And let's don't take it for granted. Right now we're at a stage of execution is so important. It's important. Execution from the academics aspect, execution on, with this busing and I'm all in favor. I think this busing is going to help. It will help. But I want to make sure that we're keeping keeping track of the savings. Because since I've been on this board, it's been talking about budget. And everyone's talking about it. I want to see it. So that's something I'd just like to see more concrete. I don't want to hear about it. I would like to see it. So I'm in favor of this. Let's don't underestimate it. We're getting these buses. Let's have a plan. Like Lyle said, different times. Let's get them to use.
JT, I assume that would be something you'd be able to track reasonably well with by comparing our dollars and charters and different things.
Yeah, we'll set up unique account codes so that we could track it. Yep.
Okay.
So we can do a month by month comparison with last year.
We'll see what we can come up with. Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess I don't know about the month, but definitely I think at the end of the year, because we're getting these a little late, and so timing wise, it's not going to be a full year. But I would just like to see from the timing that we get it to the end of the year of seeing what that savings are.
Second semester savings would give us some indication by how much we did last year, because that would give you a full window of everything integrated. That would probably give you at least a comparison point,
Yep.
Especially for track and the springtime activities, for sure we can.
Yeah. And a lot of field trips in the spring too, right?
Yeah. Yep. And that's something we need to do ourselves anyway, John, is just verify to show you guys that we have cost savings in this. So I would agree.
Contracted cost isn't difficult. We get a monthly invoice that we can compare each year and each month, and we get the invoices from the charters each month. So the more difficult is you're in those are going to go down, but how much your internal costs, your costs are going to be maybe a little bit more difficult to track, but we have to net that out.
Your asset utilization, that's a big key. So
All right, sounds like a plan.
It's a great first step.
We good, Lyle?
I am. Yep.
We'll be taking applications too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you should put his name on one bus. The first one, bus one.
What's the limit you can make? Isn't it raised this year
It
for
is.
board members?
It is.
I think it's just the sweet spot for bus drivers.
20,000.
It is.
Sweet spot for passionate bus drivers. So
20,000. I can't wait to see the photo op in the paper. All right. So all those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Thank you for all your work on this.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, that brings us to the next item on our agenda, and this is just for information only. It's the item 13, board policy changes, first reading. The following policies have been reviewed by the district leadership team and the policy review committee and are being presented for first reading. Yep. So with this being the first reading, if you would allow me not to read them all, because it's fairly lengthy. But if you have any questions between now and the next board meeting next 2 weeks, just reach out to Pam or members of the policy review committee. But these are just being presented for first reading. Are there any questions as of now? Okay. And this was just for information only. So we'll move on. And this brings us now to the superintendent's contract. Now this is going to be a little different. Right. Okay, let's see how we do this. I guess I'll talk in the third person. Item 14, the superintendent's contract. It is the board president's recommendation that the Board of Education renew the superintendent's contract through June 30th, 2028 with salary and benefits compensation to remain frozen for the current fiscal school year.
So move.
Second.
All right. And I'll give a brief summary and then allow board members to comment if they feel the need, which hopefully they do. So on July 24th and subsequently on July 31st, we met in closed session to discuss and review Dr. Smith's performance over the last year. While Dr. Smith's contract was not extended on the 24th, the board was confident that an agreement will be reached. We then met as a follow-up on July 31st. At that time, a one-year contract extension was offered and accepted by Dr. Smith. With the contract extension, Dr. Smith agreed to a salary freeze not only for the superintendent, but also a large number of the district leadership team, as with our budget reduction, 3-year budget reduction plan. Dr. Smith at this time met the 10 Iowa standards for school leaders as advised by the IASB, Iowa Association of School Boards. During those meetings, we had some very candid and good conversations with Dr. Smith. How the process came, Dr. Smith was allowed to come into the meeting, and then shortly after, he was asked to excuse himself, and the board had conversation and went over some things that Dr. Smith had presented in his review of the year with us. So we had an opportunity to look over those, have some conversation amongst us as a board. And at that time, we went over the Iowa standards for school leaders, some of the positives that were going on in the district at the time. We talked about the bond issue. We talked about the school, the combining of the schools. That project had been underway at that time. We talked about the culture and the climate, the attendance. So there were some great conversations that we had on behalf of Dr. Smith, and taking in consideration the information that he shared with us as well. At that time, we did discuss some things that we would like to see, some objectives and goals for Dr. Smith going forward. So in the sake of time, we were pretty late in the evening, so we decided to table Dr. Smith, and on July 31st, we gave Dr. Smith an opportunity to come in again. We had a little bit more time to discuss some of the things that we talked about, and at that time, like I said, we did offer Dr. Smith a 1-year extension on his already remaining 2-year contract with the premise that there would be a salary freeze on compensation with Dr. Smith and his team. If I'm missing something, board, pop in.
No, I don't think you're missing anything. I'm just happy as a board, at least I think we have come to setting a foundation. You have set a foundation about with the school scores and the culture and everything. I think now what we're asking as a board is, how are you going to take that further? And I think that's a challenge. I think it's a challenge that you'll be able to live up to. But that's something I think as a board, I think we should be pretty happy on the fact that now we're dealing with some things that I think is going to benefit our kids. And at the end of the day, we as board members, I think it's about the kids. And so some of the things that they mentioned about goals and everything, I'm pretty happy because it's going to benefit nothing but the kids. And that's the main goal for this. Like I said, might have been looked at. We looked at the same object at different angles, but now we're looking at everything at the same angle. So I'm pretty happy with my board members and also with the superintendent that we can just move forward.
I would also like to add that we were all in agreement that we're at a critical place in our district. With the new configuration, as Director Matlock always so eloquently puts, we're not just building a new high school. We're changing the configuration of what the Waterloo Community School District's outlook will be with the K5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 model. So we have a unique opportunity to do something that's never been done before, but do it the right way. And I believe Dr. Smith, who put a lot of time and effort into this process. Now, I'll say, from my perspective, it hasn't always been smooth sailings. It hasn't always been calm. They say it's always calm before the storm, but then it gets calm again, kind of like the groundbreaking ceremony. But I think as a board, and with Dr. Smith as well, side by side, we realize that the opportunity that is in front of us is major. And if we're here with the goal of trying to benefit our students and their futures, there are some things that we need to make sure are that are on the right path and that we get it correct. And I believe we're putting some things in place that'll be the case. We understand that everyone has their thoughts and opinions on how the process should go. But I'm amazingly proud of the 7 board members who represent the Waterloo Community School District Board of Directors. In Dr. Mills' absence, she's a critical part, because as we kind of lean on the senior member of our board and Director Mills as well. We ask the hard questions. We care about where this district is going. And we feel I personally feel that these 7 members of this board pour their heart into this. No one takes this lightly. And I'm appreciative that I'm able to walk this journey with these 6 individuals, including myself, to try to get this thing right. we owe it to our community and our students to do that. And I think we're going to get off to the right steps. Are there any more questions or comments regarding Dr. Smith contract?
Just really quick, I'd like to say, just echoing something that Director Cox said when you talked about the challenge for Dr. Smith, I also take it on as a challenge as a board member. To be honest with you, those 2 days that we shared together as a board, I felt like we had the best conversations that I have experienced being on this board, because we were able to talk together and have conversation and go and strategize together on how we need to work together. So I'm excited, about what's next. We have meetings and things coming up based off of that review that I'm looking forward to having those conversations. Had a meeting on Friday morning at 8 about behavior and different things like that. So I guess my thing is, it's a challenge for Dr. Smith and his team, but also us as a board, to make sure that we're holding each other accountable, but then also working alongside of our DLT to make sure things happen. So congratulations on the extension, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'd like to pretty much echo those comments. First of all, the chemistry of the board is very good in between the board and the superintendent. There's just a lot of mutual respect, and with Esther's great leadership, I think I'm excited as well. It really is working well, and I've been on board where pretty much the opposite was true. So I know the difference. Everybody says, the meeting was honest, candid, productive. That was true. I really feel that the meetings we had were that. I'm just going to touch on the big win and the big negative. The big win, of course, this last year was changing the configuration of 612 education. The totally integrated high school career center, I think, holds just tremendous potential, particularly right now when the demand for the careers offered at the career center is really high and increasing rapidly. So there's just amazing opportunity. And then I foresee a big improvement in, what's been a problematic grade, which is 9th grade, with the junior highs at 8, 9. I think that's really going to help the 9th graders. And then the more opportunity in the 6, 7, 6 is a really pivotal grade. We're I think there's opportunity there to maintain student engagement that likes to fall off once they get to middle school. The big negative, of course, was the budget situation that required the big tax increase, and the reputation that did to the board. But all in all, it was really, the big win was outshines everything. Unprecedented. It's going to change the projection of it's for kids to the better. So that's congratulations on pulling all that off this last year and on your new contract.
I'm feeling good.
So you want to make a few comments?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was gonna say it here or in my superintendent's comments, but I'll just do it here. So thanks again for the board for honest, candid conversation, talk through the ups and downs. Every year is difficult as a superintendent in public education. This year we've seen a lot of difficulties with budget and with tax rates and with just all the things going on in the district. But what I'm most proud of is, we come back to the 3 district goals, which we've been harping on for the last 3 years, which are attendance, achievement, and culture. And, ultimately that's how we should be judged, is are our kids being successful? And as we've shared before in these settings, and we're going to share in a few more settings coming up, when you look at the 12 major metrics of student achievement in terms of different demographics and English, language arts, and math and science, we increased our scores across the board, which is just something that we're super excited about. We've shared that in different settings, and our staff are just really thrilled. Public education is not easy right now, but we're seeing some huge wins in the district. And so I just thank you guys for the confidence you have in me moving forward. 3 years from now would make it June, I think it says June 30th of 2028. At that point, we should be ready to open doors to a brand new high school, which is exciting, which has been the goal the whole time, is to see this project through and to give our kids the best learning environment in the state of Iowa. And I truly believe that. So, again, I want to thank you for coming together as a board. And I just always say to you, the amount of time and energy and passion you have, that you give in, that you pour into this district and our kids, I just cannot thank you enough. And I think the community probably does not have any clue about how much you guys pour into this job. And so I want to thank you for all that. And I feel very good. Like Crystal, I appreciate you bringing up. The feedback you give me is not taken lightly. You've probably seen 2 or 3 emails come across already for meetings that are coming up to address some of the things that you would like to see worked on in terms of the budget, in terms of some of the hiring, some of the hiring processes that we have that we're going to start working on. Sam has offered to do one-on-ones with all of you to talk about that, for him being new to his role, and we will continue to work on those things. And again, we're just super excited. We've got a great team around us too. And they know that. Amy, JT, Sam, Pam, especially there. I got a great team. So it's not just a reflection of me, it's a reflection of the team we have in place and all the staff, all 1,700 employees that we have as a district. So thank you guys very much. And we're excited for the Waterloo schools moving forward.
We got to be careful with that job word. I'm just, are there any more questions or comments regarding Dr. Smith's contract? Excuse me. Thank you, board, for your hard work and dedication when it came to that. I know it was a lot. And now we'll turn it over. That ends. Oh, shoot. Aye. When it's his recommendation, I'm ready to vote. Do I have to vote on my own recommendation? Yeah. We can call a roll call vote. We'll do a roll call vote. So all those in favor of approving the board president's recommendations, state aye.
Aye.
We don't have. Okay. Okay.
So
let's. All right. Let's start that over. Let's start that
okay.
over.
Give us guidance.
So this does it, but we want to do a roll call vote for the superintendent's contract. Right. So I'll start to my right this time. Director Cox.
Aye.
Director Matlock.
Aye.
Director Ewing.
Aye.
Director Schmidt.
Aye.
Director Knight.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Thank you all again. I was going to get it right. It's hard when it says your recommendation. It threw me off. I'm not that important. All right, so that ends our action items for the evening, and now on to the superintendent's report.
Okay, well, I kind of stole my own thunder there. I was going to share a few things in this, but I got a couple other updates. So would you believe that this Wednesday, our new teachers are back? New teachers are back this Wednesday. So I'm going to do 2 tie-ins to conversations here. So when new teachers are here, Lyle, you asked about how do people know about our insurance benefits, Teladoc, or I don't know if I'm saying the right. The ability to do the online consulting is going to be talked about this Wednesday morning with our staff. So we've got them coming in. Amy and I are going to speak to them first thing. And then Friday, I hope this message got to you. If not, it's in your inbox. We are doing a new teacher and community partner, business partner breakfast at the Waterloo Career Center this Friday morning, 8 a.m. So come on over and join us if you'd like. And we were expecting, last year we had it at the over at the Waterloo Center for the Arts. it was a really well attended event, and this year we're going to do it out at the Career Center. So, got to manage the construction there, but feel free to join us at 8 a.m. And then one more thing, another tie-in to a conversation is next Monday night is one of my favorite nights of the year. It is our Coaches Classic, where we bring all of our coaches in, middle school, high school, junior varsity, and we serve them dinner. And then we go into the auditorium over at Central and we talk about highlights of the year, celebrations. And in that meeting, we're going to talk to our coaches about the possibility of driving bus. So while we have all 100 plus of them there, we're going to start trying to rally some troops for driving bus for us. So that'll be a good conversation. We met this morning to talk about what that will look like, and we will be sharing that with them next Monday night. So 2 little tie-ins there with the teledoc, and then also with the driving buses. So some busy weeks coming up here these next couple weeks. It's crazy. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Ooh. Tonight we'll start with Director Knight.
So something probably not mentioned tonight, but just get out to the community, particularly for the first few football games. Look at the scheduling. We are not using the stadium for the first few games, and check your times, your travel, and just know where you're going. Just because of our construction out there, it's going to make it a little bit awkward this year, but looking at the end goal here in 28. So sometimes we got to deviate a little bit. So beyond that, I wish everybody a good start of their school year, teachers, students, families. So
Thank you, Director Knight. Director Ewing.
Nothing. Great meeting, everybody. I really was impressed with all the preparation and the emails going back and forth. And I think that just gives our DLT a super good chance to be prepared for the meeting, which they want to be, because it's just about impossible to memorize every single thing about a subject unless you kind of have an idea what you're going to be asked. So I thought that was really cool, and let's keep it up.
Thank you, Director Ewing. Director Matlock.
Thank you. As summer winds down, I hope that all the teachers and administrators had an opportunity to reboot, to refresh this summer. I personally would like July back. I'm not exactly sure how that can happen, but I hope everyone had an opportunity to refresh, and they're looking forward to this next school year. I know I am. Being on the board and also at Wartburg College, I'm just looking forward to getting those students back. And I just want to remind us of why we do the things that we do in education. I mean, let's take a moment to reflect on why we do the things we do. Once you start reflecting on why you do that, you'll be excited about what's coming up next. So good luck this school year. Welcome to the new teachers. Welcome back to the seasoned teachers, and positive vibes for all the hiring that still needs to be done. But I'm looking forward to the school year. Let's go.
Thank you, Director Matlock. Director Cox.
Well, I think one of the things that Director Matlock mentioned about the simple fact of for teachers to reboot, get their energy back, they stepped away from that standpoint. If there's probably one thing that I was listening to throughout this whole meeting, it was about relationships. I try my best to make someone else smile every day. And I think we have that concept district-wide. I think we can have a better district, a better relationship district. And so that's a challenge out here to everyone, us board members, of every day. Just try just one person to make them be happy. I've put that upon my son, and boy, it's a little hard for these young folks. But I want to throw that out there, the relationship. The other point is this. It's time for you parents to support. It's time. It's time for parents to support what we're doing, so now we can have the relationships and the communication with your kids. Relationship and communication is just not one way, it's two way. And I think a lot of times I think that, I'm going to speak up for the teachers and administrators, they're taking upon a burden to make sure your son or daughter gets from point A to point B. It's also your responsibility for you to help your son or daughter to get from point A to B. And when you do that together, I think we can have some more wins out in this community. And then the last thing is, as we're kind of getting into a new era here, with the one school and everything, accountability. I think this from an accountability standpoint, I think is so important. And I think that Dr. Smith, I think that that's something that you have you're stepping up to say yes about accountability. I'm just encouraging to hopefully that flows down. And I think that's a positive thing. This is nothing negative. This is not saying teachers, you're not doing something. This is something that I think that all of us here have to be accountable because we're talking about kids and trying to get them from point A to point B. So I think those are all positive things. And lastly, I can't wait to get in the schools. I work with Educational Talent Search, and some of the kids I have there in the middle school, I can't wait to see them. So I'm excited. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Cox. Director Schmidt.
Yeah, just 3 items really. Looking forward to another successful year and just challenge everybody to be optimistic. Sometimes we get caught up in negatives and it kind of blinds us of the future. And these kids are all about the future. They really don't care what happened in the past. It's not going to affect them. The future is just wide open for everybody, and the teachers need to have that attitude as well. Second thing, thanks for the staff for the response to my questions tonight. I took the liberty of copying everybody kind of as a result of the conversations we had during the session. I think I'll continue to do that. I'm not too concerned about the whole quorum thing or excess emails. Just delete them if you don't want to read them. But I think I'll continue if I have questions just to copy everybody so that it's a little more background coming into the meeting. And, it's not really a decision-making process. It's just information. So I don't think a quorum limiting it to 3 members should be in play. At least I'll take that risk. We'll see. If I end up in jail, you know why.
Please don't have discussion.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Director Schmidt. If you seen the look on my face, yeah, but it's just discussion, just BCC. So no back and forth comments. But thank you, Director Schmidt. I just have a few things. Thank you to the board, as usual. This is another long one, but it was needed. Thank you to the Policy Review Committee and those individuals that took the time to participate in the dress code. I know you guys had a few meetings, so thank you for all your work on that. I'll read a couple of dates because I'm always forgetting this part. So I'll read a couple of dates, important dates coming up so you can mark your calendars. On August 20th for staff, opening day celebration will be in West High's Kurzenbrock Auditorium at 8:30 a.m. August 25th is the first day of school, and we are doing the rolling start for our students again this year. The first day of school for grades K, kindergarten, first, second, 6, and 9 will be August 25th. We also have a board meeting in this room on August 25th at 5 p.m., along with East and West volleyball at West High at 7 p.m. on August 25th. Yep, long day. On August 26th, our final students will get to enter their buildings. First day of school for grades 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 11, and 12. And following that week on August 29th will be the East versus West football game at the Unidome. As Director Knight said, the first 4 games of the season, I believe 2 East, 2 West, will be housed in the Unidome. So make sure you prepare for traveling purposes a little farther out. So varsity game starts at 7:30 p.m. on August 29th for the East-West football game. On September 1st, Labor Day, all offices and buildings will be closed. Dr. Smith, got you back another year. So looking forward to to the start of this year. I'm also getting anxious to see all the students and staff. For some reason, it seems like this summer went awfully quick, though. It did more quick. Could have been all the rain, I guess. I wasn't outside as much. But looking forward to having the students back in the buildings, seeing the excitement, the seniors gearing up for their senior year, all the athletic events. And I just like the temperature. So with that being said, are there anything else from any board members? All right, we've been here long enough. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor of adjourning, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carried. Thanks again.
It's big time. I was an hour late. I guessed 6:45.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
Right? Imagine that.